when did normal memory and cognitive problems become worrying? You thought there might be a problem. Sort of put everything down to being stressed initially, and then I moved from suburbia out into the countryside, and just lifestyle, everything got a lot better. After a while I noticed that although my stress and stuff had gone, and sort of anxiety that I was experiencing had gone, the issues that I was experiencing with my memory were still present. Possibly even felt like they'd gotten a little worse even. And so at that point there, that's when I started really feeling like something going on here that's not just stress. What was the earliest symptoms that your loved ones remember? So I asked my kids, just sort of casually, and they said, like everyone has memory issues that they have, they forget stuff in everyday life, that we just noticed that you were just doing them more often, more frequently. Just normal, everyday memory lapses that everyone has. Have you noticed any change in your emotions? Are you finding you have less emotion? No change in my emotions. Have you noticed any decline in your handwriting? No, it was always terrible. Is recording these videos causing you more stress, given the amount of introspection you're doing? I feel like they are causing me stress, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And the reason why I say that is because when I got diagnosed, I kind of just wanted to put it all out of my head as much as possible and not think about it. Like 6 months later, or 5 months, well, I think it was 6 months later, my mental health just crashed. I suddenly started getting panic attacks and feeling depressed. I'd kind of put that down to maybe it's because I was burying my head in the sand and trying not to think about this stuff. But it's always in the back of your mind. And so I just wasn't dealing with it. And so, yeah, I started seeing a psychologist, got on some medication, antidepressants. I feel like this is very similar to the sort of the talk therapy you kind of get, in terms of, I like the idea of unpacking a specific topic, because that topic is in the back of your mind in a sense, but you sort of try and just sort of forget about it. But what I like about bringing it to the surface and sort of unpacking it a bit is that it takes the scariness out of it a bit, because it's not that's that thing in the background. It's just, let's bring it up, unpack it, think about it. Okay, that's how I feel about it. That's where I'm experiencing, that's what I'm thinking. And it's all sort of there. And it's manageable then in that sense. But that process of actually doing that does invoke stress. Like, it's not easy. It's not easy to think about these things and to go through that process. But I think it's probably a necessary process to go through in order to reach acceptance. That's what I'm thinking. Could be totally wrong, but that's where I'm sort of landed on. The sun's out now. Don't know if it's too bright. That's too bright. It's got to be too bright. Is seeing people in their later stages contributing to you feeling down? I don't think so. I feel like, only people I see in later stages really, I watch is the John and Heather's journey in dementia. And I feel like the viewing is more actually just, I'm viewing it for watching John, if that makes sense. Seeing his experience through it all. And so whether I'm doing that intentionally or not, I don't know, but I definitely feel like I'm able to distance myself from that. I'm sure you'll get a lot of dementia-related questions, but I'm interested in knowing more about you. Who's your favourite band, favourite food? What hobbies do you enjoy? Are you a dog or cat person? What brings you happiness? As time progresses, these things will be important in providing comfort. And remember, you're doing a great job. Oh, it's just be kind to yourself. Thank you. So, yeah, look, I kind of have tried to keep this focused around the dementia, so anyone with dementia can sort of see just the experience of dementia and not be so much about, it's not about me as Fraser, it's me as, you know, my experience of dementia. But I also get to, if you're following along, wow, that's really bright. Who's your favourite band? In the last few years, I've been listening to these people, that kind of music, which is kind of cinematic orchestra. That's how I define it. Kind of airy-fairy music, let's be honest. I sort of growing up and stuff, I liked, you know, Red Hot Chili Peppers and Violent Femmes and Coldplay, just sort of normal mainstream stuff. Favourite food? I like spicy food. Hobbies, golf. Are you a dog or cat person? Never understood why anyone would ever be a cat person. If you're a cat person, there's something wrong with you. Dogs are just unconditionally affectionate. Where cats are so sly, they're like, yes, I'll give you affection on my terms, and I want it now. So now, you know, I mean, there's sort of, you could probably respect that to a degree, but what brings you happiness? The ultimate happiness is just when you're experiencing something enjoyable with people that you love. That's the ultimate happiness. Otherwise, I just like being out in nature. Cool, answered that one. One thing I deeply regret after having cared for my mother-in-law with Alzheimer's, in her early stages and after, no one ever told her. She never understood what was happening to her, and she was so scared. We were only allowed to comfort and assure her, but never tell her the truth. In my later stages, I can largely be off with the fairies and saying stuff that's, you know, like thinking I'm hanging out with my kid friend in primary school, you know, and so I think just going along with it as opposed to trying to correct me all the time. I'm not sure if that sort of relates to what you're saying, but I can see why people would not want to say stuff to correct the person in some sort of way. But in terms of telling them they've got, like being open with them about their diagnosis, I would assume, I can only speak for me now, but in the earlier stages, but it'd be doing my head in, worrying about why am I experiencing these things and not having any idea why it is, and people keeping that from me. So I don't understand why in that scenario. You mentioned in one of your videos that you're a musician. No, not a musician. I took up a musical instrument when the doctors diagnosed me, and they said a good thing to do is either dance or learn music, or learn to play an instrument, and so I just learned to play an instrument. Given that you didn't anticipate your videos having the reach they do, are you proud? Yeah, so I mean, it's had a greater reach than I thought, definitely. You know, I've sort of said all along I'm making these videos for people who have been diagnosed with dementia, but I love it when I see comments that are people that aren't that in that scenario. Like I even get people like who are in the medical field and stuff, and they're learning stuff from it. People who have got another sort of condition and they're sort of echoing the same sort of experience. And so yeah, I'm very happy that it's having that effect. I haven't really stopped to think so much about feeling proud for it though, and yeah, it is. Yeah, it's really nice. I think the reason why I'm probably not so think of proud, because I kind of tie pride to, hey, I pushed through something and I did something, and through all this effort, this is the product I made, or this is the outcome that I achieved, whatever that is in life. And so I guess these I'm not finding too difficult to do, and so I don't have to feel so proud for my effort in doing them. So maybe that's why I don't sort of resonate with the word proud so much. What are activities you enjoy doing to take your mind off your current illness? Do you plan to create more memories and film them? Yeah, I kind of think what I'd like to do is do some videos that are based around activities I enjoy doing, because I think that's just a really positive side to show you striving for goals as well. So I'm going to incorporate some videos that are based around me striving towards some goals, because there's no reason why you can't have goals still in life, you know. Where do you find the most joy these days? Is it harder to find joyful experiences day to day, or are you noticing more ways, however small, to appreciate the world around you and the people in it? Like trying meditation or anything? I'm going to sound too repetitive now, but joy for me is something you know what? I've probably been lacking that for a while now, struggling to find joy since November, since my mental health went down. And so I still I'm where I find joy is still going to be with people that I love. You know what? I've really been enjoying learning the musical instrument when I go and get lessons with that, because the people there are just really great as well. I never expected that. So I enjoy playing golf with my buddies, but that's been a space I've been. So they're not loved ones, but they're still a good way to get your mind off things as well. Do you believe in God? Do you believe in an afterlife? Free will? Does that impact how you process it all? I don't believe in God. I have to admit, I tend to believe that when I die, that's the end. I kind of feel like consciousness is just a product of chemical reactions occurring in my brain, and so when that stops, consciousness goes, and when consciousness goes, I've gone. In a sense, my experience of everything's gone. All that's left is like just the body, essentially. I got to admit, that's where I sort of believe that. So I've always sort of thought of myself as agnostic, though. So just because I believe that doesn't mean that I'm right, and I acknowledge that I might be wrong with that. But free will's a really interesting one, because free will doesn't have to be religious based in any way. Free will can actually just mean that that the neurons are firing and I don't really have control over it, and I'm a stimulus response organism that's just responding to my environment. And there's research, a lot of pretty convincing research out there showing that we don't have much free will. But it's not something that I think about at all, and I kind of feel like it's, at the end of the day, I'm happy to believe that I'm making my choices in life and doing the things based on my own autonomy. I don't think any of that really seems to play in at least I haven't put the connection so much in terms of how that relates to my dementia. Have you and your family talked about things that need to be done to your home as you decline? And have you guys visited any memory care places to see what options you have? I think it would be beneficial for you to even just hang out at a memory care facility, play some bingo or something. I'm in a rental, so I'm not going to be doing stuff around the home anyway. But and I haven't visited a care facility or anything like that. I have thought about doing that, just sort of seeing what it's like. I mean, it would make for a really fascinating video, wouldn't it? But I almost feel like that's also just how much do I want to go down that thinking about all that stuff too. I don't see there's a real need for me to go and do that, really. Does food taste the same? Are your preferences changing? No. Hi Fraser, I wonder if you can talk with qualified health providers specialised in dementia when you need. I mean like a follow-up of the progression. Advice about what to do when you feel down, and possible any medications when they're discovered. After I got diagnosed, went and saw my GP. GP said, hey, like you to go see a geriatrician sort of moving forward. I've now been waiting for like 8 months for that appointment with a geriatrician. It's coming up at the end of May, and So I kind of feel like, you know, if I've got questions and stuff, that's too far. I think that's... I've always wondered if a person with advanced dementia doesn't understand what people are saying, or if they just aren't able to articulate an appropriate response. Do you know? No, I don't. It's a good question though. This is a question I am trying to answer for myself. So this person has some cognitive issues. I will reach a point when what I have planned won't matter. That will be particularly hard if I haven't fully decided these things. A day will come just like every day before it, except it won't be. The scales will have finally tipped. Do you ever think about things from this point of view? So I went and saw my brother last week, and he'd seen these videos. And one of the videos was that I talked about was moving into long-term care. And in that video I was sort of saying, look, once I can no longer do things for myself, put me in long-term care. But he said, because I only live with my two daughters, and he's gone, and they're 16 and 18. And he's like, well, what are their plans on living at home, staying at home? And my understanding is that they want to get out as soon as they can, go live life. And I don't want them hanging around for me anyway. But he did raise a really good point then. He goes, you might find that you might need assistance before it's that stage where you think, I can't do things for myself. So it'll come earlier, and you'll be feeling like you're okay, but really you're actually going to need some help. And I think it's a good point. Like, even the issue that I have with forgetting about leaving, I boil eggs probably every second day. And I used to be able to go, oh, it's about 10 minutes now, or, I'll go and check on the eggs. I haven't been able to do that for quite a while now. I just completely forget about them. And so that poses a risk, a safety issue, doesn't it? And so even though I feel perfectly fine and I'm functioning in everyday life, there are things that I'm doing things that I will do, especially in the near future, that do put me at risk, and I'll need help of some sort. And so I might lose my independence earlier than what I think I will. I didn't really sort of think about that as much, which I know saying it now seems so obvious, but I hadn't really thought about that. So do you ever think about these things from that point of view? Not really. I haven't really thought about it enough, obviously. I would be interested to hear about your relationship with information about potential future treatments and the science of dementia. After getting your diagnosis, how did you go about learning more about dementia, and how did you balance information gathering with maintaining your mental health? I can imagine immersing yourself in information about your disease could be incredibly discouraging. So with the whole potential future treatments and stuff, if you've seen my channel, you'll see there's a lot of comments I get about particular things that I could be doing to either reduce my symptoms or even reverse the condition. Some people are claiming of things. I do get a lot of those sort of comments. Where I'm at is basically, I'm happy to consider these things, but I want to consider them in consultation with medical experts. So when I go see a geriatrician, I'm going to ask these sort of questions. I want to know what their advice is in relation to it all. So that's kind of where I stand with it all. And then I'll see how I feel after that, of because that experience might be disheartening as well. I don't know. That's where I am right now. In terms of just gathering information about the disease, I probably don't do as much as what some people would say you probably should be doing. I don't see it impacting my mental health because I'm not immersing myself in it. At what time do you think your employment will come to an end? Do you think you will make the decision to leave, or they will ask you to leave? I think I'll finish employment when I just can't keep doing it. Even like I'm struggling now with sort of doing it. It's only going to get harder in that sense. And I I've talked with work and stuff, and they've been very much along the lines of, just, we'll keep going with you as long as you want, sort of thing. I've got an extremely supportive workplace, so I think it's going to be more up to me. That's where I think.
Daybreak, I'm already miles away, and there's nothing left to say.